Have you ever had one of those moments where you're so frustrated with something you just think, there has to be a better way? Well, that exact thought, that's the tiny seed that grows into some of the world's biggest companies. Today, we're going to unpack the powerful mindset behind it all, entrepreneurial problem solving.
All right, so let's kick things off with a little bit of a riddle. What on earth could Spanx, those super clean hospital lights, and a cool glasses company like Warby Parker possibly have in common? I mean, on the surface, it seems like absolutely nothing, right?
Well, the surprising link is that none of them actually started out as a product idea. Nope, they all began with a simple, really frustrating problem. And they're all perfect examples of a very specific kind of problem solving in action. And that mindset is what we call entrepreneurial problem solving. It's really the art of seeing this gap between what is and what could be, and then figuring out a creative way to bridge it. Just look at Sarah Blakely. She just wanted her clothes to look better under white pants, a personal frustration. That super simple problem led her to invent Spanx, which is now a billion-dollar brand. That's the kind of power we're diving into. Okay, so once an entrepreneur actually spots a problem, they hit a fork in the road. They have to make a choice, because there are really two main paths they can take to find a solution. And that choice really boils down to two different ways of thinking, which were first outlined by a psychologist named Michael Curtin. You can either take the adaptive path or the innovative path. Basically, you can improve what's already there, or you can build something brand new. So first, let's talk about the adaptive model. Think of this as the path of slow and steady improvement. It's not about reinventing the wheel, right? It's about making the wheel that already exists spin faster and more reliably. For example, think about how hospitals fight those nasty superbugs like MRSA. The adaptive way to do it is to just get better at what they already do, enforcing stricter hand-washing rules, cleaning more often, screening patients better. It's all about managing the problem with maximum efficiency. But then, you've got the innovative model, and this just flips the whole script. It doesn't just try to manage the problem, it wants to get rid of it completely. So instead of just cleaning around the MRSA bacteria, a company called VitalVO asked a totally different question. They said, what if we could just continuously kill the bacteria in the room? And their answer? A completely revolutionary disinfecting light that's totally safe for humans. See the difference? They didn't just improve the old way, they created a whole new one. So it doesn't matter if you're adapting or innovating, you need the right tools for the job. Let's talk about the key skills you need in your own personal problem-solving toolkit.
Okay, these are the big ones. You absolutely need critical thinking to spot what other people miss. You need communication to get people excited about your idea, and you need to be savvy enough to get around in your industry. But out of all of these, there's one skill that can truly make or break everything.
And that is decisiveness. It's having the guts to make a call, even when you don't have all the answers. Jeff Bezos is famous for building Amazon on what he calls the 70% rule. Basically, if you have 70% of the information you think you need, you just make the decision. And why? Because in today's world, just standing still is almost always way riskier than moving ahead and maybe being a little bit wrong. We have this idea that creativity is just this magical lightning bolt of inspiration that comes out of nowhere. But for entrepreneurs, it's actually a really disciplined process. So let's break down the blueprint for that. This 5-step process is an incredibly powerful roadmap. First, you have to clarify the real problem, not just what you see on the surface. Imagine a farm with polluted water. The problem isn't just the water's dirty. It's what is the source of the pollution. Then you ideate. You brainstorm every crazy idea and solution you can think of. From there, you develop the best ideas into something real. After that, you implement a small test. And finally, you evaluate what worked, what didn't, and then you just start the loop all over again. It's this constant cycle of learning and getting better. Okay, so we can take this whole creative process and kick it up a notch by adding one absolutely crucial ingredient: deep human empathy. This is the heart of a really powerful approach called design thinking. This was really championed by David Kelly. He's the visionary guy behind the legendary design firm IDEO and the Stanford Design School. And with design thinking, it's not just about what you're making, it's about who you're making it for. It's all about working together to solve tough problems by putting the customer's needs at the absolute center of everything. The process itself is this powerful loop. It always starts with empathy. You have to walk in your customer's shoes to really get their world.
From that deep understanding, you can then define what their real problems are, and only then do you start to ideate solutions. Then comes the fun part. You build a fast, cheap prototype to make your idea feel real, and finally, you test it with actual people. You learn from what they say, and you start the whole cycle again. It's like having a continuous conversation with the very people you're trying to help.
All right, so we've looked at the models, the skills, and the processes. Now let's make this personal. Everyone has a kind of default mode for solving problems. The real question is, what's your go-to move?
So research suggests that most of us kind of lean towards one of three main styles. Are you a self-regulator, the type who just dives in alone and works super fast? Or maybe you're a theorist who really prefers a structured, logical, data-driven path. Or are you a petitioner, someone who just thrives on teamwork and getting everyone on the same page? Think for a second about which one sounds the most like you. But here's the most important takeaway of all. There is no single best style. The most effective problem solvers out there, they're like chameleons. They know what their natural tendency is, but they have the wisdom to change their approach to fit whatever the situation needs. So we've walked through the mindsets, the tools, and the styles that turn everyday problems into incredible progress. Now there's really only one thing left to ask. What's the gap that you see between the world as it is and the world as it could be? What problem will you solve?